everybody. We are back today with Brandy of Brandygirl Astrology to discuss. It's something that I hadn't really thought about talking about at first because everybody and their mother had talked about it. But this has been requested. And, you know, Brandy, you and I have done so much on the 2024 election and politics and stuff like that. It kind of, when this was requested by somebody, I'm thinking, well, why the hell aren't we doing something on this? This video today is going to be on the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. That happened on July 13th of 2024 at 6:11 p.m. in around Butler, Pennsylvania, at a rally.
Yep.
Yeah. He was the shooter was 20. I'm reading from my notes. The 20-year-old, the shooter was 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, fired 8 shots from the roof of a nearby building. Trump was shot in the right ear. 1 person was killed and 2 others were injured.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Should we go ahead and look at the charts for this?
Yeah, let's see what the astrology reflects.
And I say charts for this because while there's only one chart for this particular event, I also have this chart and Trump's chart together as well. And also the assassination attempt of Ronald Reagan in 1981. I feel like, you know, because so many people Trump's followers seem to compare him to Ronald Reagan, or he tends to make this comparison and whatever, I won't even go into all that, but it seemed like something that there's no
You don't want to talk about trickle down economics?
That was a whole
I'm waiting for it to trickle.
Well, because there are, because of all of the similarities or people making comparisons between them, it seems appropriate to look at that chart as well. Plus, we did this already on the channel, so it's another way to bring that in too. So
let's do it.
Okay. I'm going to share the screen. Hopefully I don't share anything stupid. Okay, it's just my website. That's not stupid. Okay.
Nice plug, Ellie.
Okay, can you see this all right?
I can. Yeah, there you go. Now that's enlarged. That's great.
Okay, so this is the assassination attempt when it happens. Oh, and I don't think I said this. He ends up, the shooter, the Thomas Matthew Crooks, ends up dead. Secret Service ends up killing him, taking him out. I don't think I said that at the beginning. Yeah. Anyway. What do you notice about this chart?
Well, what I noticed about this chart, and the first thing I thought of when this broke news, because it seemed like we got like you know me, I'm a news nerd. I get my breaking news texts and, so immediately go run around to. First thing I thought was, we're under a via combusta moon.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And so it's the first thing that stands out to me. And that's the moon at 21 degrees Libra.
And via combusta is from 15 Libra to 15 Scorpio.
Yes.
Yeah. And in the judicial sign of Libra. Or the sign that might, it seems to fit.
Yes. I believe the whole via combusta theory too is like the moon being in like the luminaries fall,
yes.
But crimes or really intense things seem to happen during that moon. It's not a good moonlight to be shed on or influence people.
Yeah. And just to so nobody's freaking out if they've got their moon in their chart somewhere, along 15 Libra to 15 Scorpio. We're talking strictly about event charts, crime charts,
yes.
These kinds of horary.
There are plenty of wonderful people who have moons between 15 and 15 Libra Scorpio. So yes.
But yeah, that definitely, and with the moon being the co-ruler of this chart, it definitely seems out. And it's also in the 10th house, which is very public.
Very public. And if you look at the ascendant, which is going to be the victims. These are the individuals who were killed, struck, even Trump.
Mhm.
You know, it's in Sagittarius. I would have expected to see a Gemini or Libra there, but if you see, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, which is in that double-bodied sign. So we're getting that sense of multiple victims looking at the ruler.
It's also Sagittarius is also, half man, half horse. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's not in like the way like you're talking about like, the Gemini, the twins, or Libra, the two scales, or Pisces, the fish, right? But that there is
Right.
a duality to that.
Yeah.
Bodiness to the man, half horse too.
I am a little thrown by the seventh house being the perpetrator being in Gemini. Now, that could be multiple perpetrators. In this case, we know there was one shooter, but I think this is actually reflecting it being a young man, because Gemini can be that young adult or young person because it's a Mercury sign.
Absolutely. I think, yes. Absolutely. I think that there is very much something to that. It could even, if the seventh house is also like, say, like the motive or the catalyst, we could.
Yeah. So, yeah. And it's like, because when this happened, I did pull the chart at the moment, just kind of say, what's going on? Because, my husband's like, why did he do this? Was he not, did he hate Trump? Was it political? And when I saw that Mercury representing him in Leo, I was like, I think this is an attention thing.
I think there are I think that's definitely, the Gemini descendant makes me think multiple motives.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the attention thing, absolutely. I think there is a little bit of that going on, or not a lot of that.
Yeah, or just yeah, I don't know if it's to make a name for themselves, which is sad and sick. It's not a good way to,
No.
negative attention is not good, right? Like, find ways to bring good attention to yourself. But yeah.
But you also hear the things like all press is good press. And our world kind of, we kind of, in a weird way, celebrate negative things. We tend to give negative things a lot of attention.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Uh,
gets your attention. Yeah,
yes.
for sure. Yeah.
It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard for it not to, right? Something as awful as I mean, love or hate Trump, whatever, but I mean, he shouldn't be getting shot at, no, none
Oh
of
no,
the.
I hate gun violence. Like, yeah, and anyone that's seen us talking politics or election, I mean, it's obvious I am not a Trump fan at all. But no, I hate gun violence. Like, this, I am so glad he lived so that he can see himself get beat by Kamala. That to me is a much better revenge. But no, gun violence is terrible.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. Um, something else that I noticed about the ascendant is it's very close to the great attractor.
Hmm.
It's close to that. You know, this is quite literally an attractor in the sky. Not a black hole, but kind of functions like one.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, I don't know how to how to word this. This isn't censoring. I'm trying to figure out how I want to say what I want to say. But I do feel like the great attractor can get things going, rolling, the ball rolling on things in motion that you can't stop. And there's something about this that does make me think that this or something about this is getting or has gotten some kind of ball in motion. I
Like
am
tightening security at future events, because this really it really showed the weakness in the security
perhaps
plans,
perhaps
the vulnerability in it. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Or what did you have? Kind of where were you going
I
with that?
don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I don't really know. But I do feel like just the great attractor's pull here, and how I think that once things are set in motion, it gets things set in motion. It can be very hard to stop it, for better or worse.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I feel like this particular event, maybe in retrospect, will be like, okay, this sets something else in motion. And I don't really know, that sounds very vague. I realize.
But sometimes you don't know till hindsight, and you can go back and be like, this started this or this. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. And sometimes we just don't know yet, until
Yeah, and
it's revealed.
yeah, that's kind of what this feels like. Yeah, that's what this feels like to me.
With that Pluto being retrograde, and we don't have the US chart here, but we're in that Pluto returns. The US's Pluto is 27 degrees Capricorn.
Yep.
This is the last retrograde that's going to happen to make it go back and kind of into Capricorn. And it's like one last hit. And it's like
death rattle.
Yeah. It's like I don't want to put any fear or warning out, but it just seems like this isn't over the whole Pluto retrograde. Like, I don't think this is the event that, okay, this is the last thing Pluto's doing, but it's interesting in the chart, that it's in retrograde and this happens. And it's in the second house of values.
Just like it is in the US's chart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Of course, we know, like, this shooter, there's not a whole lot known about the motive, really. We know he researched Trump, he researched Biden, he researched the DNC. Like,
And
it
Catherine
wasn't necessarily one's. What's that?
And Catherine, Princess of Wales, she was thrown.
Yes.
Like,
I mean, it's a little all over the place. So, I mean, kind of interesting. It doesn't seem politically motivated.
No, and even like the politics stuff that they have brought up, right? Like, they have mentioned that he donated shortly after, I believe it was January 6th, he donated $15 to, I can't remember what, something that had to do with Biden.
I think it was to get people registered to vote.
Maybe.
I think. I could be wrong.
And then he's registered as a Republican, but I know that is a typical, that happens in closed primary states, where you register as what you're not so that you can.
Yeah. So, like, if you're a Democrat, you would register Republican so that you can try in the primary to vote for the Republican that can't beat your Democrat.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And so I guess even, we know those couple of things, which does make, but it makes me think that he probably did more align on the Democrat side of things, but we don't really know.
Yeah.
We don't really know. Nothing's really been. It's very confusing. It's confusing, and that's another thing. I wonder if that Gemini descendant
it can change its mind. It wavers, and the ruler of Mercury, which is the shooter, in the 8th house of secrets too, and death. We do know he was killed, but yeah, there's going to be some things that just aren't known about this kid.
Yeah, and that are kind of confusing, or that seem kind of confusing. What about the what do you make of the chart ruler in the 6th in Gemini, Jupiter?
Yeah, I mean, it's in a detriment. It's kind of interesting, and we'll see this when we look at some other charts. I've said from the beginning, from like May 25th, I was like, yes, Jupiter is in a detriment in Gemini, but Geminis are going to be really kind of lucky right now. There's like a sense of, Trump's arrived. But what I think about in the 6th, it's, because this is the victims.
Yeah.
The 6th house we find like with watching something. It's also like day-to-day routine. It can be health. He was in plain sight, and there were a lot of people like pointing to him, to police, the shooter, saying, hey, this guy is on the roof with a gun. And there was some delay, from what I understand, and confusion.
Yes.
Because, you had Secret Service, you had local police, and there's a little bit of a gap on who knew who was doing what.
Yeah, it sounds like, coordinated. There was something wrong with the coordination.
Yeah, it just, yeah. And the sixth house, especially if you kind of look into like the Hellenistic type astrology, it's a house that can rule like war or kind of being an unfortunate area.
Mhm.
And so it just shows me that, yeah, these victims are in a bad placement, and just not fortunate.
Speaking of that sixth house, we need to talk about this because this is something that came up a whole bunch different places when this happened. You know, we've got Mars, Uranus fucking each other in Taurus, but not only are they fucking each other, we have a threesome going on with the fixed star Algol right
That's
there as well.
recipe for disaster right there. Like,
Yeah,
I'm surprised more people weren't killed, with that going. I mean, it's terrible what happened enough, but I mean, it's pretty disastrous combination.
it makes me think, because we have Uranus in fall, right? In because it's exalted in Scorpio, so in fall in Taurus. We have Mars
And
in a
detriment.
detriment. It makes me think that had this been in something else, it could have been a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely that energy potential.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to say it. I don't want to say anyone was lucky, because there are people who were killed and injured, and but at the same time, there's kind of that, wow, this could have been way worse.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they're yeah. Like I imagine, like I know the fixed star is where it is, but let's say the fixed star was in Scorpio. And let's say that both of these were in, like, if this was going on like in Scorpio, I feel like that would be a hell of a lot worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it still was awful because people did,
Yeah.
somebody did lose their life. And yeah. Um, what do we think? What do we think about law enforcement here? And I bring this up because there are clearly there was some lack of coordination or some lack of something, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but there are, there are some, I've seen a bunch of different theories out there about this. Uh,
Yeah.
from, I'll just name a few of them, that Trump had this stage to happen, right? I've seen that. Or it were in some way played into this. I have seen it that, this was something done to take him out, like our government doing this to take him out. I don't know. I don't really subscribe because like I don't really subscribe to either or here, but I did want to, I guess I wanted to bring it up because I do look at this and I see that Libra midheaven and I see Venus in the little secretive ass eighth house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it does make me wonder because up until like I started looking at this chart the other day when we talked about doing this, I really hadn't given much thought to any of the theories about this. I really hadn't.
There's just so much like conspiracy theories that have been floating around since like 2016 that, yeah, there can be a little fatigue with it, but there are some good questions around this and what
There are.
happened. As far as, well, we see, law enforcement would be represented by Venus at that 10th house cusp, but in the 8th house of hidden secrets,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of hard to see what's going on here, just because it is so hidden. I don't want to go out as far to say that I think this was allowed to happen. I'm not sensing that, but
Yeah, but this chart does make me like, and I'm somebody who likes to put on the tinfoil hat and look at you. I do. I mean, I'm not going to entertain it all, but I'll look into it. This is honestly something that I really hadn't looked that much into because I just
yeah.
I just didn't until I looked at this chart the other day and I'm like, well, now that's you know. I don't know. It doesn't clear that up.
Well, we know this, like we know shots were fired. We know the shooter was taken out almost immediately.
Mhm.
Had had this been allowed to happen, I don't think they would have reacted as quickly, but I don't,
Yeah. Yeah.
I do think though, and we're seeing this play out a little bit of we thought local police had it. Well, that's, Secret Service job. We do see no one taking responsibility so much. I do know the director of Secret Service did resign, but that could be an eighth house thing too. I don't, maybe.
Maybe. It is interesting. Like it doesn't, yeah. I don't know. Anybody watching this, if you have any thoughts about this or, whatever, please share them or anything, because
Leo is so interesting when it's in the eighth house. I know it's not on the cusp, but we got the planets. We got like Venus, we got Mercury and Leo in the eighth house. Like Leo is like the least hidden zodiac sign. And the sun is there too, right? And it's like in that eighth house, I'm trying to hide things, but Leo can't necessarily, like, it's like putting the sun in a closet. There's still going to be rays shooting out from under the doorway, right? Like, so I do feel like there's going to be some, over time, maybe some information that comes out about that, because you just really can't hide Leo.
No, you can't. No, you cannot. You're right.
Like, I'm trying to think how you do that. Like, how do you hide the sun?
It could, I don't know, maybe that goes down a whole other rabbit hole that I really hadn't considered. But like the occult angle, I don't know, maybe I should stop there. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not really even sure where to go with that. But you can find that kind of stuff with, too.
Yeah, I gotta like stew on the eighth house Venus. That one's just things that make you go,
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Things that make you go, Should we actually, I know I brought up algal. Should we look up the fixed stars for a few? Because I didn't write them all down, but there were some, God damn it. Did I just rip that out of my book? Okay.
Take care of your books, Ellie.
Yeah, no, I'm not always so great about that. I love them too much. Okay, so which one do you want to?
I'll take that 10-degree Gemini, which is Jupiter, the ruler of the victims.
I'll do the moon.
So we got a 9-degree, 47-minute Gemini fixed star, which is about a degree and I gotta do math, 9 minutes or so. And so this is eloquence, high honors, integrity, popularity, courage, warmongering, agitation.
Okay. That,
I don't know how far.
go ahead.
How much do you want me to talk or not?
I'm not going to censor you.
I know. I don't want to but the whole warmongering, agitation. I'm trying to remember because I know Trump was at this moment wasn't he talking about immigration? Wasn't that what the charts were about?
Oh, I honestly don't know, but that he talks about it a lot. He talks about it a lot, so probably.
And I mean, he is agitating, right? Like he's not trying to be a peacemaker. He says a lot of just blatantly racist things or, talking down about people. It's kind of interesting that he's one of the victims and he's falling on this fixed star that represents like kind of agitating,
Yeah. And even getting people agitated.
Yeah.
In turn, okay, so I took the moon. The moon here is at 21 degrees, 42 minutes of Libra. There's one at 22 degrees, 9 minutes of Libra. It represents prosperity, leadership, divine teacher, creative power, ear and eye trouble, indecision. The ear and eye trouble part is interesting since he got shot in the right ear. I think that is kind of like,
Yes. That's very literal.
Yeah, it is very, very literal.
Yeah. And Agal in the 26 degree Taurus fixed star. has to do with the head, doesn't it? Or beheading,
It's
or
the demon's head.
so. I mean, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it is. Um, there's also one near the descendants too. Let me see. Okay. I didn't write down what they were, but I did write down that they were there. And it's at 15, 15, 15. Okay, there's one at 15, 17, Gemini.
That's pretty close.
It is very close. Currents of fate, fluctuating emotions, irreversible changes to the rhythm of life, sense of oblivion.
That makes sense for the shooter, I think.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And, the irreversible changes to the rhythms of life, that kind of goes along with the thing I was saying about the ascendant and the great attractor. There's some ball that gets rolling
Yeah.
here, and I don't know exactly what, but it's kind of
It's kind of unnerving because there's so many similarities right now to 1968 and it was a year of assassinations, it was riots, it was a lot of things the DNC was in Chicago that year too, and it seemed like one thing after another. And we had the same eclipse this year, the Aries eclipse with Chiron. And I almost, when you keep saying get the ball rolling, God, it makes me think of I feel like that was 1968, like one thing after another, or kind of a chain reaction. I'm hoping this is the end of this type of violence.
I don't know that it is though.
Yeah, not to put that fear out there. That's not what I'm trying to do, but it's kind of something you can't ignore.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, it's unnerving.
There was one other near Mercury, I believe, unless I made that up.
You might have made it. I'm kidding.
It's possible. Okay, so there is, well, maybe not actually. Mercury kind of falls between two. One is at 15, Leo, and then the other is at 1906. Would you count either of those?
Let's do both.
Okay, you want to take one and I'll take the other?
Yeah. Sorry, I got stuck on that. There's actually a fixed star at 2 degrees 48 minutes of Leo. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
Yeah,
Oh.
we're gonna go to that in just a second. Let's go to Mercury, right?
Mhm.
So I kind of actually want, let's see, let's take the 19 degree because it's a smidge closer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, just a little.
Love of command, power to achieve, good with animals. Oh, wait, I missed some of that. Prudent, restrained, mistrustful, self-controlled, but oh no, I'm reading the other. Yeah, angry when roused.
And it's fortunate for Mercury, along with Saturn and Mars.
Now, how is that fortunate for the kid taken out unless it did what he was hoping it would do, which is
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you want to do that one at 248?
I do, because that's Venus. That's one we're trying to kind of figure out. This would represent law enforcement. Also, I think just maybe some public reaction. And it's prudent, quiet, suspicious, mistrustful, self-controlled, great anger when roused. Didn't we just see that?
Yes, we did. I was going to say that great anger. Yeah. Yes, we did. Quiet.
Okay, I think I know what this is. I think police, Secret Service, that whole, anything that falls under that. I think they know more than they're sharing.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
100%.
it's always the case, right? But like, I think they know a lot
Yeah.
and they're not sharing. Maybe because they don't want repeats. There's got to be a reason they're not
Yeah. They're
giving
keeping
up
quiet,
what they know about this.
but they're keeping quiet like that.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily, that doesn't necessarily mean conspiracy or, but maybe they know something about this kid or motives or,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe perhaps so. Yeah.
They don't want to show other people how to do this, possibly. Maybe there was something this kid had access to. I don't know.
Yeah. They're definitely, yeah. There's definitely something that they're not sharing with the rest of the class.
That's right.
Should
Maybe
we?
good reason. I don't know.
Oh yeah, there could be. There could be. Let me see. Should we look at another one real quick?
Yeah.
So this is the assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan in 81. What I think is interesting is we have all this stuff. We have those same, now we've got Mars, right, as well. But we've got the same three planets in the eighth house again, as we do. Like in this chart, we've got Sun, Venus, and Mercury. And then this one, we've got the Sun, Venus, and Mercury, right?
Yeah. God, Reagan's lucky to be alive. Every time I see it, I'm like,
yeah,
he's lucky. And the 10th house is also that Venus too. It might be when these things happen, we don't share all we know because we don't want to show other people how to do this. I can see that totally being, a reason, maybe valid reason.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was like an interesting little thing.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Okay. Now, this is I just use the same house system.
That's okay.
This is Trump's natal chart on the inside. And then the assassination attempt on the outside.
So, yeah,
Right
like
here.
I said, Geminis are lucky this right now, like having Jupiter in your sun sign just kind of helps.
Yeah.
But that Uranus, Mars, Algol, like sandwich on his midheaven.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of,
Yeah,
if it hadn't been this, I think maybe not as intense as an assassination, but something was gonna.
yeah, like if this is, and I admit I didn't play the transits out play by play throughout this year for him. I kind of just looked at election time and all that. But like, this is something, if like we kind of would have ran it, it would have been like, oh, this tells me he does not have an astrologer, because if your personal astrologer saw this combination with that fixed star on your midheaven, they'd be like, do not do an outside rally. Do not be careful. Stay home from this day to this day,
Yeah.
It's scary. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And we also see the sun right on top of Saturn. It's only 2 degrees away. Anytime, and this for any individual, there's going to be a couple days each year where the sun is on top of your Saturn because the sun goes around your chart, every year. But it's a time, I feel like, when the sun and Saturn get together, that physically you got to be careful. Your energy can be low. It's like, you can get sick easier. It's not like, a terrible thing. You just want to be careful. Like, I've seen drownings happen, when Sun and Saturn are playing together. And
yeah, and his sixth house, right? Aquarius. Saturn is, the traditional ruler of Aquarius. So it's gonna bring up that health stuff, right? Or it
yeah,
could.
even more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got a few things going on, but look what else is going on. Venus, although in a different sign, is within like 7 degrees of his Venus. He has that Venus return. Again, happens every year. It's not like a big like life-changing transit, but it does bring in good energy when Venus and Venus get together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which does kind of, yeah. How do I want to say what I want to say? Could have also helped this not be so.
It mitigated it, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you'll see that in astrology. There'll be some crazy transits, or even in a natal chart, some things that would look really challenging or negative, but you see something else going on with a different planet somewhere, and that good bundle of energy can outweigh what's going on here. And I think we're seeing that. We're also seeing Saturn. It's in the 7th house. It's not in that 8th house now. So there's some things going on that says, yeah, this wasn't, depending on your beliefs, this wasn't destined to really happen at this moment.
Yeah. 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 Also, loosely
I want to be careful. I don't mean that the people who died or got hurt were destined to. Like, I probably shouldn't make comments like that. But
no, I get what you meant, and I think the vast majority will understand what you meant too. I think they will. That Saturn though you bring up is also loosely trying his, kind of also.
yeah.
If it was squaring it, it might have been.
I need my ephemeris. Hold on. I just saw some. We might have already seen this in the election video.
What?
But on election day, see, Pluto will be 28 or will it be quite 27 degrees Cappy?
I think it's 27. I could be wrong.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking it was actually hitting the US's.
I think it is. I could be wrong, but I think it is.
Okay, it's going to be 29.
Oh, okay.
I know, I thought so too. That's still close. That's still going to activate that Pluto return. Don't get me wrong. But like, it's going to be opposing his Saturn, we probably saw that in the election video, but
maybe. Remember, we talked about so much in those videos.
We talked about so much. Yeah, we can't even remember. I got to rewatch them sometimes. Be like, did we see that?
But yeah,
because we're looking at so many players, at least at that time, because Biden was still running, and we're like, we don't see Biden winning, we don't see Trump winning. What the hell's going on? We see Kamala doing great. Like, it all makes sense now.
But yeah, it does. It makes total sense. But yeah, definitely will be opposing his Saturn at that time, and his Venus.
Yeah. And Venus
is the ruler of his midheaven.
Yep. I don't think that's good, but
probably not.
Election speak. But we're on what happened to him on July 13th, and yeah, we can just see some crazy things happening in this chart and some good things kind of helping him out too in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Is there anything else you want to say about this chart or any of them?
I don't think so. I think the charts, with not knowing the motives of the shooter or what was going on, I think the charts kind of give us a good idea, even though like we talked about some information is still being kept quiet, but I think we have a good idea what it wasn't, or
yeah,
some of the motivation kind of fills in the blanks a little bit.
I don't know if I said this about the Gemini thing. I don't think either one of us did. What about all the different things how Gemini energy can express, right? It's very mental, it's very heady. Could it even just be, could mental illness be could that be indicative of that?
I think so. Yeah.
I think there are probably multiple reasons, but yeah.
I think you definitely have to have some mental illness to try to carry that out. You know,
Absolutely.
it's not, even though I said we're sorry, even though I'm not a fan of Trump,
I'm not either.
that's not like in my mind. I'm like, that's not something that's appropriate. It's not even something I want to do. Right. It's like, so you would have to have some kind of illness to think that that's a good idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of like a no shit Sherlock thing to bring
Yeah.
up.
Like, what were you thinking? Like,
But it is interesting to see it actually perhaps reflected in this, like this individual. There really may have been some mental,
yeah, especially with not having a clear side politically or anything like that. No political. Yeah. There's something just weird. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think we'll, since it seems like, law enforcement might know more. Do you think we'll ever know more, or do you think it'll always be kind of,
We could know more. It's going to be way after the fact. Just like, Kennedy was assassinated in 63 and in 2024 we're finding out more. It's like way after the fact and when things have changed and
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Well, I guess we'll take off then, but Brandy, where can you be found?
I can be found at brandygirlastrology.com and Brandygirl Astrology on YouTube and social media. What about you, Ellie? Because I'll be sharing this for my people to see as well. Where can they find you?
Okay, you can find me at saturnseason.com. That's my website where I do astrology readings and all that good shit. Instagram at Saturn Season Astrology, and YouTube here. Why did I forget that for a second? At Saturn Season Astrology.
A lot to remember, like we have all these things going on.
Kind of, yeah. Well, Brandy, thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me. Always
Thank
have,
you for having me. I appreciate it.
and to everyone watching this, we'll see y'all later.